Hi, my name is Mark. I'm a concept artist and illustrator working in the entertainment industry. And here I'm going to show you how you can paint a Viking warrior or a Viking chief. It's going to be more about the overall use of materials and not necessarily a huge dynamic pose or anything. Just generally what to look after and what to consider if you go into more costume design or if you want to paint a more specific historical illustration or historical characters. Here I just plugged in quickly a quick line drawing about the guy, and after that I changed that into a multiply layer and started to block in the colors behind to sort of establish a general color scheme and of the background. I imagined that the guy is coming out from the forest or something, so I chose a really this saturated colors and because I imagine this is more like an overcast. There's more like an overcast sky, so all the colors becoming more dull and more muted in this kind of light setting. So after that, I plugged in the overall colors to the character as well, and basically underpainted the sketch. And after I finished that part, to quickly blocking in the colors just to have the feel of the overall scene, I flattened down all the layers and but before that I changed the color of the outlines a bit with the hue and saturation, and because I was trying to avoid having really black lines, because if you overpaint the lines, if you use black lines, they're gonna just come out under the painting a bit more, and usually I like to cover all of my lines in my paintings. So after I flattened down, I just basically from this point on I just started to pick the colors straight from the painting, from the underpaint, and started to refine my character a bit more based on the original sketch. So I'm starting to define the costume. I imagine a more like a leather armor, what consists of pieces. And after I sort of plugged in everything and refined everything, I also started to adjust the proportions of the character a bit. I felt the head was a bit small, so I resized it and things like that. And now I'm moving to the path of adding a bit more texture and fixing the lighting. So I use mainly overlay layers for that to add a bit of extra lights and extra textures on his suede coat and some extra lights on his helmet. And then as you can see, I never really zoom in too much, but I sort of progressing gradually towards more and more details. So after I feel I'm I just cannot add more details to a certain piece, I zoom in one step further and then one step further, because it's really easy to get lost in the details, and if that happens, it's really easy to forget about what the whole piece is about. So I'm zooming in gradually, and then as you can see, I'm just finessing sort of everything around the piece. But what I'm usually doing is this was a pretty quick piece, so it took me around about an hour and a half roughly. So, and that sped up to about 14-15 minutes. So what I'm doing with these quick pieces is I'm doing what I call like focal point oriented detailing. What basically means I'm trying to focus all my details around my focal points, what is in this case the character's head and his upper torso, and everything else is basically less important. So I'm not really worried about the background I'm not really worried about his shield or anything else what is outside my focal area, what is around the head and his shoulder area and probably the upper part of his coat. That's pretty much what I'm interested in, and I'm trying to put all the details and all my energy into it. So basically, speed is not really about working really fast, but working more efficiently. So it doesn't really matter how much time it takes, a painting takes you, but during the years, you get more and more efficient. So you basically don't spend time on parts what are not as important on the painting, and that's pretty much what this is all about. So I'm also, you have seen, I also started to use the lasso tool. I'm doing that uh, to introduce different edges, so more sharper edges on the character, to divide certain parts, so like divide the coat from the body or differentiate the coat from the body, and things like that. And I'm also adding small highlights, but I pretty much serve the same thing. And now I'm moving on to like smaller details again. So uh, I'm really trying to get as realistic materials as I can in this short time frame. So I try to think about how what happened with this coat. So all the patches, all the marks, all the weathering, what you can add to certain materials, they all they all help to sell your story, to sell your character, because you're gonna feel that your character went through a lot of things. You're gonna feel that it has a backstory, if it has a past. So maybe he's inherited this helmet from his father, or so that's why it has all sorts of wears and bands and all kind of damage. Because like in the Viking world, so you have to be a bit conscious about historical facts. So in the Viking world, only a rare few. Everybody is imagining the Vikings as huge armored warriors with horned helmets, but it's not really the case. The Vikings were basically farmers, and okay, they were looting and traveling and things like that, but only a fortunate few could afford steel helmets, and even chainmails were really rare. So usually they used hardened leather armors, and suede coats and wooden shields, and that's pretty much it. So I'm jumping back and forth between like adding more details, like a bit of blood from dried blood from the previous fights, or strengthening the contrast of the piece a bit more to drive more focus on the head. So I have much more contrast around the helmet now, and also I wanted to add a bit more sharp outlines to the helmet, just to have it more clean and separate it more from the background. And adding more lights, more details. Usually I use a colored layer for this, or a screen layer to add lights. And I'm also adding slightly more details to the background, just to bring back some extra to that one as well, because otherwise it would be just a really rough background with a super detailed character. So you have to keep the balance as well a bit, even if you separate the details in your piece. So adding a bit more detailing, just some metalwork on the helmet, more highlights on the beard. And I'm also adding colors to the helmet, because I would like to suggest that it reflects back the colors of the environment, so you can see a touch of green, touch of brown in the helmet. And now this is the first time I really zoom in, and I'm zooming into the face, and just to add more clarification, just to clarify that part a bit more, just another step of finesse. And but that was it. And usually I'm going all around the piece, adding a bit more atmosphere, trying to blend in the character a bit more. But I'm pretty much finished with the guy, so I'm not really gonna touch him anymore. I mean, the character is pretty much finished. I pretty much achieved what I wanted. So this is the fine tuning of the piece to make it really look like an illustration. And I quite like these sort of more static pieces about characters, because it's really easy to create a dynamic piece when the character is jumping or doing some kind of crazy pose with yielding two weapons or something. But in reality, in a movie or in a game, you don't really see the characters in those poses. So maybe you see them for like 1 second in the whole movie or in the whole game. And usually the characters is more about you're facing them, you're seeing them in dialogues, or you're seeing them just walking around. And I feel that if you could show the personality of a character in a more static piece, you can achieve much more, because then from getting this piece and turning this character, if it's approved by the art director or by the director, and making him in a really dynamic pose, that's really easy if you want to create like a marketing illustration or something. But this is always the base. Or okay, this is like more zoomed in, so this is more about the face and like the overall feel of the character. But I think you understand what I mean. I just like the final touches, adding some extra details, adding some extra textures to the whole piece, just checking the general composition, how it works, adjusting the values slightly, and adding a bit more dust or mist, water drops in the air, and as a final touch, adding some fake lens blur to blur the silhouette of the character a bit more. Some final touches of the light to bring out the metal, the shiny metal feel a bit more, and it's done. I felt I needed a bit more, like something in the foreground, so I added this spear as a final touch and blurred it out. So that's pretty much. Thank you for watching, and if you are interested in more tutorials like this, please subscribe to my channel and support my upcoming tutorial art book, Behind the Pixels. You're gonna find the link in the description. Thank you.